We're set, we have gas, we have four-wheel drive, even though the roads are mostly clear from the snow. It's a matter of, well, I shouldn't have to do that because it's higher up on my neck now. Thank you. That was one of the things that I wanted to fix. You can't see anyway, but it's my seatbelt that I was adjusting. I'm going to try to do my best to just talk through the things that I have been thinking. We'll get that done for the personal videos before I get on the highway if I can, which means I've only got like 3 minutes. I wanted to try something, and the mic positioning on my jacket is not ideal. It gets in the way, and it gets rubbed by other jacket things and seat belts and materials. So I wanted to put it up on my neckline, but that wasn't going to work when I had a beard of like 6 inches, which was true until yesterday. Nobody going, cool. I trimmed that up real good. A bit shorter than I was thinking, but at the same time, my goal was to just have it to the point where it was short enough where it would tuck back onto itself and not come down off the chin. I will look through a bunch of old photos to see when the last time it was I did that. I really let it go, and especially these last 2 weeks have been crazy stressful.
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto US 87, US 87 Business South.
And we're back, because I had to do some turns, I think. The last thing, let's see. Yes, the last 2 weeks of being inside quarantined because of COVID, thankfully it wasn't too bad. As far as I know, technically we're not out of it just yet because of, wait, where's the road? Okay, so that's where the lane ends. We did our best to quarantine and keep Bonnie up in her room, and then I would just bring things and set them outside the door at a barrier that we would clean off, and then disinfecting everything and washing everything, and trying not to use that upstairs bathroom as much as possible, so that she could use that one. It's the only one with a shower though, so I still had to go in there, but that was pretty much it, which meant that most of I can't go in there and spend a long time to trim up a beard and my hair and everything, which it already was getting real long and needed to. I was being lazy, but anyway. Finally got that done yesterday. That was the end of the 2 weeks. There we go. Almost to the highway. So as far as we know, with me saying we're almost through it, I've been testing and checking for symptoms and the whole thing, because it could be asymptomatic, and so far, nothing. Now, technically, she would have been contagious up until a few days ago. So if by chance it had happened then, even with both of us double masking the entire time, anytime she left her room, anytime I went upstairs, the whole thing, technically, if it would happen, I wouldn't know for 2 to 14 days if I were before I developed symptoms or would start testing positive. So not entirely out of the woods yet on that one, but at this point, not showing any symptoms myself, still testing negative. She's testing negative now. Things are returning to somewhat of a normalcy of what they were before. And I wanted to get out because I stayed inside a lot. So we are headed out to a trail that I went to a couple times last year, or more than a year ago. I believe it was November or December 2020, right when I first got, wow, that's pretty, the sunrise is already starting, and the colors are, man, still got 40 minutes before the, okay, but anyway, yes, I went to this place about a year ago. It was right when I first got the camera. It was me looking around at a few different places, and I found on Google Maps a trailhead that I could go to, and so I went there, and I didn't follow the trail the whole way. I kind of went for a bit and then went, oh, here's a spot, and I kind of hunkered down there when I first got the big camera. That's, I should update that profile photo, but I do remember specifically going, okay, this is what I'm doing now. I'm not just going out and doing wildlife photography and then coming back and writing about it in a blog. I'm going to start incorporating video into it, and that's when I bought a camera for video, and I got some other, started thinking about it in that way. And I took a picture of me out with the big camera in the cold. But I remember on that day I didn't see anything because I'm remembering where I went to. And I believe I went to that spot twice. And then I went a little bit further along the trail and I hunkered down at a different spot. And I thought, well, we'll just see what happens here. And that's when I was sitting out for many hours. And then all of a sudden a group of 7 or 8 mule deer came up. And I was able to just record a good 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of them jumping over a fence and just kind of hanging around and being cool mule deer, which was cool. Definitely happy with that. So I don't know what we'll see today. I am planning to walk the trail this time. We got snow 2 days ago on Friday. It was throughout the whole day and even into the night, but it really was only an inch or two maybe, depending on where it was. And it looks to be, because we had partly cloudy yesterday and it was a bit warmer. I don't remember if it was above freezing, but there's not much snow out here and the roads are clear. So I'm hoping that the trail will be also clear. It is up a bit, but it's not like full up a mountain to the point where I'm hoping that I'm not going to have, you know, a foot of snow to walk through or anything like that. So I think that's a good update on what's going on. I realized that the directions are taking me not on a major highway where I'd be doing higher speeds, so it's not too bad for the road noise here, but it's been almost 10 minutes, and I think that kind of covers everything. That's what I've been doing for 2 weeks, is just staying inside, playing video games, and taking care to get anything and everything to the COVID positive test that we had. Testing the COVID case. I don't know, none of that sounds good. The sick person sounds terrible. But she was, and it was bad and it wasn't. It was somewhat mild symptoms for a lot of things, but currently we're past it and going through, and she's hoping it's just weakened muscles, but lost the entire upper range of her vocal range. That was phrased poorly, but the high notes, basically, they're gone. That she just, her voice definitely sounds a lot gravelier, and that's not good for a music teacher whose job it is to sing and play instruments. Hoping that it's not, that it's just weakened muscles and it's not the worst case scenario, which is that it did attack, as COVID does, attacks organs, and it would have went after vocal cords. I don't know if that's not an organ. As far as I know, it's just a muscle, so I don't know. We'll give it time until we just kind of ease back into it, and hopefully that it's just, you know, a lack of use and a sore throat, and it will come back is the best case scenario. Because even, I mean, that we definitely, even vaccinated and boosted and the whole 9 yards, there's still the chance of long-term side effects, which are thankfully lessened, but if that's one of them, that's a big one for her. Anyway, I don't mean to bring it down. I'd rather stay positive, as I typically do. Let's go see if I see any wildlife today. Birds would be cool. There's plenty of trees along this trail. And by plenty, I mean there's some for this part of Wyoming. I've been thinking about going to the forest, but I've also been thinking about going back to the state park, but I still haven't gotten my pass yet. I'm thinking about that as I drive past it right now. It's still there. I was worried. I thought, given the last month and a half since the beginning of the new year when my pass expired, that state park might have upped and moved, but it's still there, so that's good. All right, I'm gonna eat a protein bar and drive the rest of the way, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get there, because I'm sure the sun will be fully risen at that point, and I'll get my camera all set up, and we'll go hopefully get some video of some birds, or maybe mule deer again, or who knows what we'll see. Maybe nothing, but it'll be nice to get out and get back into the practice of it. Well, I was following a trail for a bit, and by that I mean someone else's footprints in the snow. But they crossed the fence over that way, and that's trespassing. So no thank you. However, I do know where I am now. I crossed the creek, balancing both cameras. Across the creek right there, and just came back up to here, because this is the trail. And right over here, along the trail, is a fence area, and right under that tree is where I stopped about a year ago and set up. Get over to here. Yep. Right there. Under the branches of that tree, I went, this is a pretty good spot. Looking around, I've got big open view, and there is a creek, so seemed like a pretty good idea. And it was. This is where the mule deer came, and they were hopping over this fence. And that was where I set up for a few hours. So now I know I can follow that trail back, and that will lead me back to the car. I wasn't too worried about it, but I knew that I don't know what I'm saying. Well, back in the car. Good day out. Yeah. Didn't see too much more after the mule deer this morning, but there were so many of them. I took a picture or two and some videos trying to get them all in frame so I can count them and see exactly how many there were. I got some interesting footage there. I set up and just watched one of the mule deer. All of the other ones were standing up, and then there was one who was sitting on the ground just chewing for 10 minutes. Interesting. I did not realize that, I guess probably more than just cows. I've heard cows will chew cud, which is just, what is cud? Cud is a portion of food that returns from a ruminant's stomach to the mouth to be chewed for a second time. I don't know what a ruminant, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly, I don't know what that is, and I don't know if deer do that as well, but it definitely it wasn't still like getting grass off the ground. It was just chewing, moving it from one cheek to the next, chewing for 10 minutes, which is interesting. And then I walked for a good bit and went along the trails and found some chickadees. Hopefully, it was kind of hard. They were in the bushes and, the trees, so getting them there. I heard plenty of birds after that, but it was hard to spot much. But still, good day out. Good to be back at it. Very happy that happened. Glad that I could get this done. And hopefully I'll make it out next weekend, the 2 days. Both days of what I'm going to shoot for. I'm trying to do 2 days a week, but it may switch to just 1 day a week for the time being. What I talked about before with kind of bringing in some side income and doing this contract work as an independent contractor. That won't last forever. That's just for the time being. I imagine I will have a couple of months worth of work out of it, and then it'll probably slow up, and it'll depend on how many clients and things like that. It's not really something that I'm actively trying to pursue now that I have at least one regular client, I suppose, for income, because it's not really something that I want to do that much. I enjoy going out, and I enjoy using cameras for my purposes and try to see wildlife and nature and document and, create recordings of what I do and what I see and how I feel. I don't really want to do full-time photography or videography for other people, like clients like that, in that way. I would rather be able to go and create what I want and then have my job as it is. Or, this could be my job where people are just interested enough to want to support on Patreon or in other ways. Never really been comfortable selling photos as it is, but I could try. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is that it's not a full-time ongoing thing where I will always and forever back to working 5 days a week. I still get my 3 days off and I can squeeze it in here or there. Like I could still go out in the morning. If it comes down to it, I'll go out in the morning, and then when I come back from lunch, then I just work. It's just usually tired because I go out walking and hiking and things like that. So, and there's not like a stipulation or anything as to how quickly I get it done. It's just the more I do, the more money I get. Of course, faster, the quicker the money that I get. I get paid as the work is completed. So if I do that and I knock it out for a couple months and I do, kind of like having a side job, do that, give me enough money to pay down some more of the debt that I've incurred for doing this, and then once I can get to that point, I can be putting money, I'll be saving it and paying down debt at the same time, and getting to a point where I'll have some spending money to do things like buy a new photography camera like I want, or new lenses, or so much equipment, so many things. There's plenty of stuff. First things first, probably would buy more equipment to continue doing what it is I'm doing and improving what it is. But, And if you don't know, now you know. It's a lyric to a song that I can't remember anything else about right now. I'm going to drive home. This was good. This was fun. A good day out. I'm glad to be back at it. We'll be back soon with more stuff, hopefully. Boop. Thought of something else while I was out there walking around. We're getting back to that point where last year I was trying to go out and I'd set the plan. I visited it during the daytime, and then I was going to go back, and then I got real sick. So I'm going to try to avoid doing that and getting a stomach bug. But the sage grouse and their mating rituals start happening soon when we start transitioning more into spring, which, besides the fact that it snowed 2 days ago, I would kind of think that we're starting to head that way. I don't remember if it was because the Department of, I have forgotten, wildlife management, something along those lines. Where I read about it online on the website, on the government website, that talked about how all the rules and regulations about where you can go to see such things and what you have to do. Talked about it was either end of March, beginning of April, or end of February, beginning of March. I definitely remember they were like, it's the end of the month, and then the beginning of the next month is when you typically can go and see that, because they get, like, the birds will get started with their mating rituals earlier in that month, whichever month it was, and then it peters out towards the end so that you're not actually going and disturbing them while they're trying to get it on. But then you still have a chance to see them, and then the weather is usually, there's not quite as much snow and things like that. So we're approaching that point. I'm going to do some research on that, see if I can find out where that is, because I would really love to go get that on camera. Yeah. I had a thought about that. We're getting back to that. I was thinking about, hey, I haven't been here in a year. It's nice to get back, kind of wander around an area that I've been to before, and some areas were new. Like I'd never started going down that path. I've gone the other side of the trail. I've never walked the full trail. It says there's no trespassing signs on where that fence was. So maybe it isn't trespassing. Maybe the fencing is just there for boundaries or they're older ones. But like the gate, like it's a full open gate, and there's not a sign that says don't, go past it. So maybe the trail does go further back that way. I've never done it. I'd like to walk the full trail at some point. But I don't know fully how long it is, and it's not mapped like most of the trails that I visit. Most areas that are public access have trail maps that I can, so I don't get lost. So I'd like to do that, but I do not want to do that during the snow, and I don't really want to do that carrying a bunch of camera equipment because it's a lot. So there's that. Anyway, point being, sage grouse. Maybe this year will be the year. Really would like to see those. I don't think I put those onto the list of ones that I want to try to see this year, but that's something I'd like to, need to get back to my list and need to see what I can do to start looking. I did look last night, but there haven't been any spottings of any of the 5 that I picked out for this year to try and see. Not recently. No one else has seen them around, so I gotta get back out and find some spots and keep looking around and, you know, the whole thing. See what I can see. Now I'm gonna go. Hey, thanks.